Hello everyone, and welcome back to Technical Unsure, when I'm not really sure what I'm doing technically.
It's not sure, ma'am. Secretary, not sure.
Today we are going to compare these four mighty and powerful SBCs, single board computers. I promise I'm going to try to keep this video short and cut to the point. I want to make sure before recording this video that I can install the NVMe SSD on all these boards, which I did. Let me show you. This bad boy is Orange Pi 5. Here is the NVMe SSD installed on it. This one is the Rock 5B, and I installed the wireless as well as an NVMe SSD in here, and I am booting from it, so we'll talk about that. Then this one is the Radxa Rock 5A Pink Edition. It does have a hat just like the Raspberry Pi. This one you have already seen it on many videos I have recorded. I use this as like a base. So this one also boots from the NVMe SSD. I was able to get all of these working with the NVMe SSD. I was able to also overclock all these boards a little bit here and there. And all things worked perfectly. I tested them, nothing crazy. All the numbers were what I was expecting. You can see even like there's a dedicated video for this board. When it came out, I immediately bought it and recorded a video. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. And if you want me to do a dedicated video for, I don't know, any of these, if you want me to show you how to do NVMe boot, overclocking, benchmarking, you let me know. I want to just give you a summary results of my tests and benchmarks on all these boards. There were other boards as well, I would say challengers, but I eliminated them, such as this one, the Lubin Cat 4. There's also a video for this one. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. Yeah, I don't think this is in par with these boards. There is no proper NVMe SSD support. There is no hat even for it. Yeah, don't get me started on this one. These boards are the ones that I think are closer to each other and can be compared to each other. So that's what we are going to do. These are what you may call challenger to Raspberry Pi 5. So let's start with the prices, just so we can be, so you know where we stand on in terms of prices. So Orange Pi 5 is 8 GB, the 8 GB RAM version is around like 99 bucks. And there's no NVMe hat required. As you can see, I have installed it on the board itself. But it does not have Wi-Fi, so you need a hat for, you need to have an adapter for that. There's no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. You might have to use this NVMe port for that if you want to. 5B version, the 5B comes with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but then it doesn't have the NVMe SSD slot, like the M.2 slot. I prefer this because I can still use the Ethernet port. Then this one is Rock 5B, 8 GB. So the RAM is 8 GB and this one is 150 bucks. It does not come with Wi-Fi. I installed the Wi-Fi on it myself, which is here. There is M.2. You can install a full-size M.2. There is a TF SD card slot as well, and I have installed. They all work perfectly. One thing I need to highlight, that this bad boy, the chunky bad boy, is actually RK3588. These are 88S, so we'll talk about that. The main difference is the S1s does not have as much PCIe lanes and IO and USB and so on. So yeah, communication IO stuff, the things that it can support. This one is more powerful, obviously, and it's also more expensive. So yeah, it's almost like double the price for Raspberry Pi. So this is 8 gig and this is 80 bucks. This is 8 gig and it's 150 bucks. So yeah, consider that. And also I have to say this bad boy, as I said, is chunky, right? This is like 100 millimeters by 72 millimeters. I mean, just look at it, compare that to the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's much bigger. So yeah, keep that in mind. This is a bigger board, a chunky boy. So, but it's very powerful. So if you want something super powerful, we're gonna talk all about it, but this is the one to go. And then finally, this one that came out very recently, and as I said, I bought it when it came out almost the same day. So yeah, this one, you need an NVMe SSD hat. So Radxa Rock 5A Pink Edition. Ships with 16GB RAM. No other options available. So it's already double the RAM available in the Raspberry Pi 5. And this one is $129. The hat, NVMe SSD hat, is $10. So you need to consider that. So maybe like $130, $140, something like around that. Additionally, this one also doesn't come with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so you need another module for that. You have to get the module from the company itself. From what I can see, it's not really working with many other options out there. So you are kind of need to go with the Radxa ones. So yeah, keep that in mind. And finally, the one and mighty, the one and only Raspberry Pi 5. So this one comes with the Wi-Fi, it's in there. So yeah, this one comes with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's dual band on the Wi-Fi, and also Bluetooth is 5.0. And for the NVMe SSD, you need a hat. This one is like $25, so you need to buy that. So with NVMe SSD, and 8GB RAM, this is $105. So very close to this one, very close to the Radxa Rock 5A Pink Edition, but the RAM is much more on this one. These boards, they are all very, very similar to each other as you can see, and as I'm going to go through them. Two things stand out on this one. I gotta get it out there, man. There's just two things that are important. It's maybe nitpicky, maybe not that important, but to me it matters. I just want to get it out there. So first of all, it's 26 pins. It's non-standard, so I don't know. Who am I to call what is standard, what is not? But I'm just gonna say it. I think this one is the standard, let's say, the 40 pin and the pinouts, because there are so many projects already done with this pinout. You get a fan header, you just plug it in and it's gonna work, right? You know where the 3.3 is, 5 volt is, all that stuff. So I don't know, I'm gonna call this standard, but this one is not. And in size, and the length and everything, it's not similar to these ones. So it's tighter, smaller, and it's 26 pins, not 40. So keep that in mind. And also, all these boards, all three, come with RTC and fan headers. They are like those JST headers. Yeah, so we're gonna talk more about those, but this one does not have those pins, so you gotta, waste a couple more GPIO pins for the fan. As you can see here, I'm using the 2 to just power on the fan for the cooling the CPU, SoC, whatever. Consider 2 is gone for the fan, 2 for the RTC. Yeah, you're already down 4 more. Anyway, we're gonna talk more about those later in the video. It's maybe it's nitpicky, but yeah, it matters to me. And then another thing is that really grinds my gears is that their website, it's 2024, and their website, the whole thing is running on HTTP. There's no SSL. So if it was like 10 years ago, I would have said, maybe it's expensive. I don't know, it's not, but let's say that. So their whole website is HTTP. Every time I want to open the damn site on their Chrome, it shows me a warning. And then their forum, and when you want to log in or register, the whole thing, that is also HTTP. So the whole credentials are being transmitted in a plain text. Just get it done. I just want to put it out there, so hopefully the guys will hear and, I don't know, make a change. So yeah, in terms of booting from the NVMe SSD, they are all now supported. Maybe it wasn't before. I see some people were complaining in the past. Some were not able to boot from NVMe SSD. But at least on these with Armbian, you can definitely boot from the NVMe SSD, and there are steps that you have to take, flashing a firmware to the SPI and the chip and all that. Yeah, hopefully, I was hoping that it would have been better. It's doable, it's manageable. For this one also, you have to log in first, upgrade the firmware, install the packages, install the updates, only then you will be able to do that. So yeah, it's there is a step before doing booting from the NVMe SSD on all these 4. Let's just say this one is much easier and smoother. It's in terms of speeds for NVMe SSD, I have to say this one just kills it. It's just like a regular big old PCIe, like a Gen 3, right? This gives you the full 2 gigabit speeds, like very fast. It's like 3 times these guys. So if you want the maximum SSD speed, let's say you want to develop an application, you're working on some project that demands a very fast read and write to the disk, this is the board you gotta go with. So it's no question. So there is no way these 3 can't even compete on that with this one. So just so you know that. In terms of memory, let's say you have a project that demands a lot of memory now. So Raspberry Pi 5 goes up to 8 gig, right? That's the max. And Orange Pi 5 goes up to 16 gigabyte. But I just saw the website, there is a pre-order available for 32 gigabyte RAM version. So just so you know that there is one out. I never got one in my hands. I don't know when it's gonna be released, but they have a pre-order up for 32 gigabyte version of this. Rock 5B, on the other hand, this one does have 4 gigabyte version. That's $128, very close to this in terms of price. Then there's 8 gigabyte version, double the price. It's $150. 16 gigabyte RAM is $190, and 32 gigabyte is $270, which is really expensive and absurd, honestly. I don't know. Considering that, you can go to AliExpress and buy some Chinese small AMD computer, like those small mini computers from AliExpress, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really make sense to get that, but yeah, it's just, I just wanted to share that. Finally, the Rock 5A Pink, there's no options. It just comes with 16 gigabyte RAM, so it's double the Raspberry Pi, and there's no other options or settings you can choose. That's it. Now, in terms of I/O and version of the protocol supported in each board, in case, let's say, you have a special project with special requirements, let's go over the differences, right? So Orange Pi 5 comes with a single HDMI 2.1 port. Let me show you. Yeah, okay. So there is HDMI 2.1 port right here. There's just one. So Ethernet is 1 gigabit. The speed is 1 gigabit. And this one can support 8K and 60 FPS rendering. So there is 2 USB-Cs as well. So you can use the USB-C ports also for additional display. You can use it for additional display. But yeah, this is a very powerful board in terms of also supports 8K and 60 FPS rendering. This board is even more powerful. It comes with 2 full-size HDMI ports, as you can see. It does have 2 USB 3.1 and 2 USB 2 ports, and the Ethernet is 2.5. Yeah, that's the difference you pay for the RK3588, not the S. So everything is more powerful. There's also USB-C in here. So in this board, there's also HDMI input. It's a different story. It's not really working well. I've seen people doing demos. It's not, this is 2.5 gigabit, and it is actually 2.5 gigabit. I have done iPerf. It's really 2.5 gigabit. There is USB 3.1 and then 2 HDMI 2.1 ports in here. So very, very powerful and capable. This bad boy is, considering the price and the size and all that, right? And remember, this board, this is the one identical in terms of size and everything to, you see that? Look at that. Yeah, it's the closest and most similar to Raspberry Pi in terms of everything. I/O, GPIO, pinouts, everything. Like, even look at that. Look, a location of the holes and everything, the mounting holes. It does have 2. We talked about it. There is a full video I have done, a full review of this board. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. There's like 2 micro HDMI ports in here. Both are 2.1. And one can do 8K 60 FPS rendering. The other one can do 4K. I think I pointed the opposite and wrong. So this is 8K, this is 4K. It doesn't matter. So you check the other video, you'll see that. This one also you can connect another display using the USB-C port, because the USB-C is actually OTG. So you can connect another DP display to this one through the USB-C port. This is 16 gigabit. Oh, by the way, the Ethernet is gigabit, just like the Raspberry Pi. So not big in difference here. And in terms of the USB, that's same. But the one thing is USB. This one is OTG. So yeah, there is a USB 3 OTG in this. USB 2s, USB 3. Very similar to Raspberry Pi on that. So yeah, this is a very powerful board and very cheap, honestly. This could be really a good competitor. They need to make a lot of changes and improvement, but this is halfway there. So this is very close to being a real competitor. And finally, the Raspberry Pi 5. So the Raspberry Pi 5, this one comes with, as you know, two HDMIs. But this is HDMI 2.0, just remember that. And you can connect two screens, and max it can do is 4K at 60 FPS. And it comes with the two USB 3 and two USB 2 and a gigabit Ethernet. That everybody knows already. Now you might want to say, you know, hey, technically unsure, what is the big deal with HDMI 2.0, 2.1, why you keep saying that? So HDMI 2.0 actually can do 4K 60 FPS max. So that's the end of it. HDMI 2.1 on the other hand can handle 4K at 144 Hz and 8K at 120 Hz. So HDMI 2.0 maximum speed is 18 gigabit per second. HDMI 2.1 is 48 gigabit per second. So it's almost 3 times. It's 2.6666 times. Now, in terms of RTC and fan connector, I already mentioned it before, but I'm gonna tell it again quickly. All these boards support and does have a JST connector, so it's like 2-pin JST connectors. You will be able to connect the RTC or fan. You can see that right here. So this one is easier. Let me show you it on the camera. So as you can see, I connected the fan in here, and that's the RTC. So it's same on all these 3 boards, right? They all have RTC headers and fan headers for CPU cooler. This dumb boy doesn't have that. Yeah, that's a small thing, and it's a little bit annoying. Yeah, considering that it's 26 pin, already low on GPIO pins. I wish they made a better choice on that, but yeah, anyway, just want to point that out. All these ports also come with 3.5mm audio jack, so, and none of them, by the way, come with any sort of cooling. Keep that in mind. So whatever you're budgeting, let's say, you think like $80 you're paying and getting the 8 gig version of Raspberry Pi, you need to consider the cooling options as well. So there are like hats or fans or heat sinks, active cooling, passive cooling, up to you, whatever you want. The chunkiest one is this one. I don't think it gives an edge that much, but a little bit maybe. But yeah, this one does have a chunky boy here for like cooling. That one is it does have a heat sink with a fan, the same with the other one. So yeah, keep that in mind. You need to remember the cost for the cooling. One thing, very important thing. All these 3 boards, not the Raspberry Pi, all 3 boards in here, these 3, they all come with an NPU. That's one thing they all have over Raspberry Pi 5. For instance, let's say you want to develop a real-time object detection app. You connect the camera to any of these 3 boards, right? And then you want to like write a code to do real-time object detection, right? You connect the camera, you write the code, you run it at 1080p with object detection. These 3 boards will give you like 13, 15, 20 frames per second object detection at 1080p, 1920 by 1080 resolution, right? Without affecting the regular CPU cores. Remember that. So you can obviously do that in this one too, but so you're going to use the CPU, but in this one you're going to use the NPU. So you will be able to use the NPU for AI and ML stuff. It's in the name. NPU stands for Neural Processing Unit. So yeah, you can do object detection on these three and then also run a 7Z benchmark, you know, just kidding. But yeah, that's the NPU. That this one does not have NPU, Raspberry Pi 5. These three boards also are faster than the Raspberry Pi 5 because they have 4 extra efficiency cores. That's also used for background processing. So Raspberry Pi 5 comes with 4 ARM Cortex A76. These 3 boards come with that, as well as an additional 4 ARM A55 efficiency cores. So keep that in mind. In terms of GPU, the Raspberry Pi 5 comes with Video Core 7. These boards come with ARM Mali G610. That's the SoC, that's GPU included in the RK3588. The Rock chip driver sometimes can be tricky, and then there might be some licensing issues, so on, with the FFmpeg and stuff, but if you get that working, this can be better and faster than the Raspberry Pi GPU. So I don't want to make this video long, honestly. I just wanted to share a quick summary after reviewing all these boards and getting them all to work properly. Boot from NVMe SSD, overclock the CPU, install the operating system I wanted and packages, and use the GPIO pins and actually do stuff with them. So I really love them all. I love some more than the other, but that's just beside the point. I love them all. That being said, the community behind the Raspberry Pi 5 is just unmatched. Don't get me wrong, there are so many amazing skilled developers are working on these 3 boards as well. There are so many unofficial images, OS releases. Hell, even there is an SD image for these two, Rock Pi 5A Pink and Rock 5B, comes with a Steam. So if you haven't seen my other video, go check it out. But in this video, I download a Rock Pi 5A SD image, and there is Steam on it. I install Steam games and I play on this tiny board, you know. So there is a x86 box and x64 box and Steam and Wine all installed on this board. Community work. It's not official. It's some developer just decided to do it and release the SD image. That's awesome. You know, the community is great. But Radxa is catching up. Radxa is doing better than this one, but you know, their forum just sucks. Sorry, Radxa, but you know, I wanted to find the SD image for this one that had the Steam that I am talking about. It was just painful. They're just scrolling, the comments keep showing up as you're scrolling. There is no easy navigation, no sticky comments, no help from the community moderators and forum maintainers to just like highlight these golden comments, pin them, put them in top. I don't know, release them in some unofficial release pages for SD cards or SD images, include some, I don't know, like a guide on how to install Steam step by step, like copy paste your commands so I can get the Steam working on this, or stuff like that. Like work with the developers who are doing these amazing job of getting Steam and x86 and 64 stuff working on these things. So the forum just a little bit sucky, let's just say. I don't know, they need to improve. The web page where they are even listing the specs, I mean, look, just go check it out yourself. When you look at the 5A versus 5B page, and then where they are listing the specs, and that wiki page, so small, so tiny and unorganized, looks ugly, you know. Yeah, those can use some improvement, let's just say. So Radxa, if you're listening, please make it worthwhile. Put the FFmpeg and Rock chip support in some apt packages on in your guides or in the OS releases. I don't know. It's just I don't know what the problem is with FFmpeg licensing, honestly, with the Rock chip stuff. But if possible, please resolve that. Don't make me chase it and manually install the packages for FFmpeg and there is, you know, if I want to find an SD image for Steam, don't make me, you know, Google and chase, and it's not easy, it's not accessible, it's not there. So make the community better, make the guides better, make the documentation better, improve that. That's why people are buying this, because plug and play. You put things on, you turn it on, you look at the documentation, and it's working. The Orange Pi one, don't get me started on this one. The whole damn site is HTTP. You know, there is the login page, the register page, all the credentials are being sent in clear text in HTTP. It's all HTTP. There is no SSL. Let's ignore that. I mean, look at their forum. Like, just look at the forum when you want to search something, you want to see unofficial work or SD images, the question and answers, and the forum, like topics and all that. Yeah. For the love of God, please just improve your site, man. Just get an SSL certificate first and then improve your site. Anyway, yeah, these guys gotta catch up, and that they have done great things, obviously, in terms of the boards and designs and all that. So the Raspberry Pi 5 might be weaker in terms of performance. Maybe it doesn't have NPU, yes. Maybe it can't render 8K at 60 FPS, yes. Maybe its GPU is weaker, but at least it is very, very well documented. Community is awesome, the forum is awesome. So many open source projects are already out there with this. Like, let's say you want to do something, like say you want to overclock the CPU. I'm sure if you just Google it, and you can find it in a matter of seconds. You just edit a file in /boots and then reboot, and that's all documented already in there. There are so many other kernel parameters in that bootloader. It's so easy. It's so easy. But in these ones, I had to go with like every one of these had something special, some other trickery going on. I had to do something with armbn config command and use the armbn and SPI and all that. So no real documentation from the companies. You know, come on. I mean, these guys already done half the work, right? They created a great board, powerful board, and they just need to do the rest. And the rest is software, support, and documentation. When you build a system, if you don't have these, you're not there yet. So these guys are a little bit behind in these three. Anyway, I want to keep this video short. I keep saying that, and yet it's still long. But anyway, I don't know if I managed to keep it short, but that's all I had to rant and say about all these boards. I just wanted to share a quick update. I'm really happy with all these 4 boards, honestly. And I really care for communities of all these 4. These 2 is the same, but yeah, anyway. And just if you want me to do certain things with these SBCs or some other SBC I might have missed that is on par with these things, with these boards, let me know. I will definitely check it out. As you know already, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I don't accept sponsorship. I'm just buying everything myself, testing myself, playing with them myself. I use them myself. So yeah, you let me know if you want me to do anything, if you want me to show you how I did certain things, how certain things are done, NVMe or clocking or overclocking, whatever. You let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.